Stories are one of the most powerful things in our world, and this is a story which is going to open up your eyes. What is good, YouTube? My name is Ash Porter and welcome to my channel. And today we are looking at an incredible piece of fiction. A piece of fiction which I think transcends the idea of just being a good story, because it is way more than that. It is The Beekeeper of Aleppo. I know I'm late to the hype and that this book has been out almost 2 years, topping charts, breaking people's minds, opening people's eyes. But you know, I'm gonna be honest, I'm always late on catching it. I never really read like the newest books. I just read it as it comes to me, as I feel like it. However, I am so glad I read this book because, oh my days, what a flipping good book. If you haven't already, go get a copy, go read this book. It is well worth your money and time. Alright, so the two parts of this video will be the first, the non-spoilery part, where I try and break down a bit of this book without any spoilers and try to communicate why this book is so good. And then the second part is going to be for those of you who have read it. There is going to be spoilers everywhere and we're going to be talking about just how good this story is and what blew my mind. This book, written by Christy Lefteri, came out in May 2019 and blew the world away. According to the book and some research, Lefteri is the daughter of Cypriot refugees and has also spent plenty of time volunteering in centres and camps of refugees in and around Athens. And obviously this time and this family experience has brought something out of her that is this story which is clearly, let's be real, based on reality. It has hit the #1 bestseller list, whatever that means. I don't really know what that actually means. I just guess it means it's selling really well. It's topping some kind of list. And honestly, this book is absolutely outstanding. This book, set in 2015, covers the story of our two main protagonists, Nuri and his wife Afra, and their journey escaping, fleeing for their lives from Aleppo in Syria, where a civil war has been raging, and their journey to try and find Nuri's cousin Mustafa over in England. Now, if you didn't know, this book is based in Aleppo and in Syria, where for the last 10 years there has been a civil war raging in different scales of violence, and they estimate that at least 400,000 people have died because of this war. Now, this is an absolutely heartbreaking story, and there can be no denying that, but it's also absolutely captivating. It is not one of those brutal books you read and you're like, why the heck am I reading this? But instead it's one where you are drawn emotionally into the story and you cannot stop reading. And beyond that, it's one of those stories which shows the true power of writing and storytelling. It opens the door into a reality which, let's be real, isn't that far away. It's both historical and the present, and possibly the future, and it shows a reality which we can so often in the West, in England, in the UK, wherever, be so distanced from. Now, I know I'm guilty of this, that sometimes no matter how many news reports we hear, no matter how many social media posts or articles we read, that we can still feel so distanced from stuff like this. Yet stories like this have a way of allowing you to step into that and get a better understanding and experience of it all. And ultimately as well, there's stories like this should, I think, be there to challenge us. This book, honestly, beyond just the message behind it and the context it's set in, is incredible still in itself. There are plot twists which you do not expect. There are ways in which the book is wonderfully crafted, like the mid-chapter sequences, which I will go into in the spoiler section. Or it's just the way that you see the protagonists, Nuri and Afra, their characters develop throughout the story. And honestly, it's just amazing. Yo, pause. Wonderful people who watch my videos, thank you so much for being here. But can I just ask one thing of you? Can you please, if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications if you really want to stay super up to date with my videos. And also, comment below, tell me, have you read this book? Did you enjoy it? All that kind of good stuff. I want to hear that from you, and it all helps support my channel and that kind of stuff. So thank you so much, and let's get back into the video. Okay, so now if you are watching this part of the video, I'm going to assume you have read this book, and so we can just take a minute now to look at this thing and just sit in awe of this wonderful, wonderful book. Now, tell me in the comments, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did this book break your heart? And so, let's be real, we all know that this is an absolutely outstanding book, but I just want to point out a few things which really blew me away, or I absolutely love the storytelling and the plots behind them. Number one, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I didn't want to spoil it too much, but these mid-chapter transitions blew my mind. I'd never really seen anything done like this before. The way, obviously, you see time jumps and transitions between flashbacks and real life, and that's done a lot. But the way Lefteri beautifully crafted this book in these transitions, using words, like sunrise, that to end one part, the like present, to then go back straight into the flashback, starting with that word as well. I don't know, it may be a really simple thing, but it absolutely blew my mind, and I thought it was such a beautiful way to craft these chapters. Number two, what blew my mind a little bit, and I fell completely into the trap of and was completely fooled by, was the whole Muhammad plotline. You think that Nuri and Afra have found this kid on their journey, not their son, but someone who almost fills that gap along that time, and that they're going to look after him, and they have that whole experience in the sea crossing and this whole journey with him, and then he disappears, and you're like, oh no, has he been taken? Has he been taken by these gangs or whatever? And then it turns out the whole time it's Nuri having hallucinations. That the whole time he's never existed, and that actually it's him being hallucinating and envisioning Sammy, but putting a different name on him and labelling, and it's his way of kind of coping with the whole process. Or it was also showing that he just was not okay. And I kind of had my suspicions, the first bit where he disappears, kind of you're like, how's he just disappeared like that? He's not the type of character to just wander off and leave them. And then by the end, I was getting really suspicious. Maybe this is Sammy. I think she starts describing what he's wearing, and you're like, okay, it makes sense now. But I thought it was just incredible, because the whole way through the book, you're meant to believe Arthur is the one that's, she's not there. She's scarred mentally, horrifically, by everything that is going on, and that Nuri is like the strong man trying to carry them through. And in many ways he is that. He is kind of carrying them through this journey, except the only way he is coping is by his brain having these hallucinations. Obviously, you can't criticise, because his state is completely justified. All they've been through, the civil war, the loss of their son, even his death threats at the end, which are the reason they finally leave. It's all scarring, and then the whole journey, to be honest. But I thought it was just the most incredible plot line, and I don't know about you, it caught me out. Did it catch you out? Number 3. Another plot line which completely blew my mind, caught me out, a little plot twist which I loved, is that through the whole way through the book, pretty much to the end, you think Afra is blind. She has been blinded by the bomb that killed Sammy. But then you find out the whole time that it's just been her brains, her body's coping mechanism, that medically she isn't even blind, but actually it's just her body shutting down mentally. And I thought that was just a great plotline, because one, obviously it just makes the story incredible, the fact that Nuri is helping this blind woman, this blind refugee, his wife, go from Syria to England, this incredible journey the whole time she's blind. But then it's also amazing because you finish the book with hope, that her sight is starting to come back and that there can be a future for them. And I think, yeah, blew my mind. top drawer writing. The fourth and final thing which I want to highlight is this idea that, you know, the whole book, they have this, the plot line of the civil war, of being refugees, of all the death and destruction, of all the pain and the suffering of humanity, and this journey of trying to escape that and find new life, find new existence somewhere else. Even though it isn't home, they're trying to find a new place to call home. But under that, like entwined in it all, the reality is this is like a love story. That it is about Neri and Afra's marriage, and how it's, you know, it's just so up and down throughout the journey. There's so much going on there. And for most of it, you think the love is lost, that there is a deep loyalty there which you can only respect, that you can only admire through the circumstances they go through. There is a deep loyalty to one another, but it feels like the raw love there is lost. And obviously there are other events in the journey that don't help that, you know, like the incident in Athens and so on, and this guilt and shame and like uncleanliness that is felt in that relationship. But what absolutely like is just so redemptive about this story is literally at the end, when Mustafa has turned up, he's found them in the south of England, and Nuri is buzzing, Afra is buzzing, but then Nuri says this one thing which I want to read that just like shows you how redemptive this story is. And he says, "But it is Afra's face that brings me to life." The whole book, you're seeing him destroyed, looking at her like, can I ever love this woman again? And there is hope. Her face brings him to life. And it's just such a beautiful way to end the book. Like I said, like the previous one, it just is a book so full of pain, of the worst of humanity, of just this journey of suffering, yet it ends with hope, and hope for the future and restoration. And I just thought it was incredible. And just to say, to finish, this book gets an easy 509 out of 10 for me. It is top drawer. There we have it. That is The Beekeeper of Aleppo. It is such a fantastic book. It is, yeah, honestly, it's incredible. It lives up to the hype. And if you haven't read it, go away and read it. Anyway, I've been Ash Porter. Thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.